The story of a boastful rooster named Chanticleer is very old indeed. He appears over and over again throughout the literature of England and France. This is my version of the story, but there are loads of others. Chanticleer was king of the farmyard. It was his responsibility to make sure everything ran smoothly. Every morning, he flapped up on top of the roof of the chicken coop and crowed as loud as he could. Then the sun would come up, all the animals would wake up, and they could start the day. The rooster saw to it that everyone was busy and happy. If the animals had arguments, Chanticleer would settle them. Any problems, he would solve them. He was admired and respected everywhere he went. I wonder why?
Why?
Because of my singing, of course. Singing? Naturally. What's the first thing I do every morning? You crow. And then what happens? Well, the sun comes up and… Exactly. If I didn't crow, the sun wouldn't come up. That's why I'm so important and why everyone loves me so much. Wait, let me get this straight. You really think that it's your crowing that makes the sun come up? Of course, it does. Every morning I crow, and then the sun comes up. That's called cause and effect, you know. I'm not sure you've got that entirely. Sorry, but I can't stand around here talking all the time. I've got work to do. Well, whatever the reason, all the animals on the farm looked up to Chanticleer. From his closest advisor, the owl, hound dog, Patu, to his girlfriend, Pinty, the prettiest hen in the coop. Just outside the farm was a forest. Some of the animals who lived there loved to rise with the sun, just like the animals on Chanticleer's farm. But there were also quite a few who despised the sun. They called themselves the Society for Nocturnal Animals, and they met in a cave not far from Chanticleer's farm where they discussed their greatest enemy. The sun is no friend to those of us who hunt at night, declared the owl, three-term president of the Society for Nocturnal Animals. It hurts our eyes, said the mole. It ruins our fun, said the bat. Yes, yes, said the owl. We all hate the sun, but what can we do about it? I'll tell you. The various members of the Nocturnal Animals Society looked up to see who had said this. Another animal had just entered the cave. An animal with red fur and a pointed nose and tail. Fox is the name, said the fox. Reynard Q, here is my card. He handed a card to the owl. It read, Reynard Q, PHOX have fur, will travel. Now, Reynard continued, it seems to me that your problem has a very easy solution. You don't like the sun? Well, then all you have to do is make sure it never comes up again. The other animals began talking all at once. But how? Can it be done? Where did you get that card printed? Now, Reynard continued, it seems to me that your problem has a very easy solution. You don't like the sun? Well, then all you have to do is make sure it never comes up again. The other animals began talking all at once. But how? Can it be done? Where did you get that card printed? The point, said Reynard, is that all you have to do is get rid of Chanticleer, and you need never fear the heat of the sun again. And, as it happens, I have a cunning plan to do just that. Reynard explained his plan to them. They voted on it, and the motion was approved by a near-unanimous vote. It was very nearly dawn. Chanticleer flapped up to his usual perch atop the chicken coop. He was feeling good, despite having just woken up from a very unsettling dream. In his dream, Chanticleer flapped to the top of the coop, as always, but the coop was much higher than usual, as high as the sun itself. And Chanticleer was really flying in order to get the top before the sun did. He was about to win the race when a fiendish, grinning monster with sharp teeth and red fur burst out in him, causing him to fall all the way down to the ground. He woke up just before he landed. It was a scary dream, but Chanticleer saw no reason to be afraid, not now that he was awake. Scary dreams can't hurt you after you wake up. He was just doing a few vocal warm-ups when he heard an unfamiliar voice calling to him from below. Sorry to bother you, said Reynard, but you are the great Chanticleer, are you not? Why do you ask? Yes, I am, said Chanticleer, who was always happy to talk to a fan of his work. Sir, I am honored to meet you. I have, of course, heard of your wonderful singing which wakes the sun every morning. Well, that's very kind. Thank you. May I make one small suggestion, though? All the very best singers close their eyes right before they begin to sing. You should do that, too. Then you could be the greatest singer who ever lived. Fortunately, Patu the dog had heard the commotion and gave chase. He may have been an old hound dog, but he could still run when he had to. And it wasn't long before he had caught up to Reynard. The fox, however, was not interested in fighting the dog. He let go of Chanticleer and sped away into the woods, having decided that it would be wiser to live to fight another day. Well, the good news is that Chanticleer was unharmed. A little dazed, but otherwise fine. The bad news is that what with almost being killed by a fox and everything, he hadn't gotten around to crowing. But the sun was still coming up. "Chanticleer?" asked Patu. "Are you all right?" The rooster was anything but all right. He was staring at the sun as it rose above the horizon. It was coming up, just as it had done every single morning. But this time, it had done so without him. So, it wasn't my crowing that made it rise? I see. Chanticleer and Patu walked back to the farmyard in silence. By the time they arrived, all the other animals had arisen, having been woken not by a rooster's crow, but by the angry barking of an old hound dog. They all gathered around to make sure Chanticleer wasn't hurt. "I always thought," said the rooster to his fellow animals, "that it was my crowing that made the sun come up. Now I see I was just kidding myself all along. You all must think I'm the biggest fool in the world. I'll leave the farm and live in the woods from now on. You'll all be better off without me."
Patu looked at him.
"Chanticleer, that's not true.
What?
You do so much more for us than crowing in the morning. You make sure everything runs smoothly. You see to it that everyone is busy and happy. If we have arguments, you settle them. Any problems, you solve them. And we love you," said Pinty, putting her wings around her beloved. "Not because of what you do, but because of who you are." So, Chanticleer decided to stay on the farm. He still crowed every morning to wake up the farm, but he no longer believed that it was he who caused the sun to rise.